The year is 1998. Oasis have gone from one of the biggest bands in the world to basically irrelevant in 99% of the world within just a few years. Okay, maybe it wasn't that much of a fall off, but it was close. The band's third album, Be Here Now, released in 1997, was extremely well received upon release, but within the coming months critics soured on the album, with many calling it half-baked, lazily written, and way too long. Though a huge fandom for Be Here Now still persists to this day regardless. While pretty hated by most critics at this point, Be Here Now was still an enormous commercial success, becoming the fastest selling album in UK history at the time, with platinum selling singles like Stand By Me and All Around the World. In 1998, the band released their first and only B-side compilation, The Master Plan, which sold remarkably well for a B-side album, and is considered by many to be one of the band's best works to date. The Be Here Now tour was plagued with issues, alongside both Gallagher brothers getting divorced and trying to becoming sober, alongside the band themselves changing their lineup. The band's remaining founding members, Bonehead and Guigsy, would leave the band shortly after the end of the tour to spend more time with their families. They were quickly replaced by Andy Bell and Gem Archer, who would serve as the band's bass and rhythm guitar players respectively until the band split in 2009. And on top of all of that, the band's current label at the time, Creation Records, went bankrupt, and so Noel took matters into his own hands and formed his own record label, Brig Brother Recordings, specifically for releasing new Oasis content. So yeah, things were not looking good for the band at this time, but they pulled through. The band hired a new producer for this album. Rather than bringing back Owen Morris, the band hired Mark Spike Stent, most known for his work with artists like Madonna and Björk, with production on the album beginning in spring 1999. The album's artwork features a photo of the Manhattan skyline taken from the rooftop of 500 Fifth Avenue. Some famous buildings are visible, including the Empire State Building in the foreground and the former World Trade Center in the background. To create the cover photo, the photographer captured the same frame every half an hour in 18 hours during the whole day's course. The photos were digitally composited into the final picture. Eventually, on February 28, 2000, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants would be released. The album received pretty mixed reviews upon release, though in recent years, Salt Song has been celebrated as a masterpiece by fans, though the critical reception of it is still quite creaky. The tour for the album was pretty big, culminating in July of 2000 when Oasis played 2 nights at Wembley Stadium in London, notable for not only being the band's first live album released later that year, but also on the second night Liam was completely pissed and was trying to sabotage the concert by not singing some lyrics and changing the others. And not to mention constantly ranting about nonsensical bullshit in between each song. Anyways, enough about the pre-production of the album, which is actually more interesting than the album itself if you ask me. Let's talk more about the tracks themselves. Fuckin' in the Bushes is not only the wildest song title Oasis ever had, but it's also an epic song as is. This song is one of the few Oasis tracks to use samples. Said samples are from an Isle of Wight documentary.
We put this festival on, you bastards, with a lot of love. We worked for 1 year for you pigs. And you want to break our walls down? And you want to destroy it? Well, you go to hell!
You see, the whole thing is, if you have a festival with all the stops pulled out, kids running about naked, fucking in the bushes, and doing every damn thing that they feel inclined to do, I don't know that's particularly good for the body politic.
I love it. Room for everybody here. Yes, all are welcome. Yes, indeed. I love them. Fun. Nice. Life. Youth. Beautiful. I'm all for it.
The only real purpose for this song's existence is to be used as the walk-on song for Oasis concerts to be played over the PA system, and, well, it works absolutely perfectly for that purpose. But as an actual song, not so much. I feel as if the song doesn't really have much of a purpose being on the album. It doesn't really fit the vibe, and its only purpose is to generate hype. I mean, the guitar line is sick at least, but I'm not a huge fan of that Saint Anger ass snare though. Go Let It Out is one of my personal favourite Oasis openers. Fuckin' in the Bushes doesn't count to me because that's not even really an actual song. This song is about controlling your emotions. It's best to keep your anger in, but occasionally you just need to go let it out. This is further proven for the chorus, which is literally copied verbatim from the R.L. Sharp poem Bag of Tools, which reads as follows.
Is it anyone now our princes and kings? Our clowns and paper building sawdust rings. Ordinary people that are like you and me. We're the keepers of their destiny.
Aside from the themes of the song also has a very laid-back and psychedelic feel to it that I really dig. Go Let It Out was also Giants' lead single, released on February 7th, 2000, roughly 2 weeks before the album. A perfect choice for the lead single if you ask me. My only real problem with this song is the repeated use of Liam shouting, which is kind of annoying after a while, but it doesn't really hinder the song that much. Who Feels Love is one of Oasis' most thematic tracks to date. At its core, the song is about Noel Gallagher wrestling with his spiritual emptiness and the search for inner peace after the chaos of the late 90s. It's a song about seeking enlightenment after burnout and trying to reconnect with something bigger than yourself. This is Noel in his I've done everything, I felt nothing, now what phase. It's the come down after be here now, not just musically, but existentially. This song is drenched in Eastern influenced psychedelia, which mirrors the theme, a man trying to meditate his way out of a spiritual void. The title of the song is quite literally Noel asking if anyone around him still feels anything real. This is also one of the more underrated tracks on this album if you ask me. Call it boring, I call it relaxing. It's not better than Go Let It Out at all, but it's still pretty solid. Put Your Money Where Your Mouth is another pretty underrated track from this album. It takes on a completely different vibe compared to the previous two tracks, going for a more hard rock feel, reminiscent of the first track. This song is about calling out people who talk big but never act big, alongside Noel possibly calling out his band's own bullshit. The title of the song is literally a saying, meaning to act upon whatever you say. It emphasises the importance of backing up claims with real effort or resources rather than just talking about them. I'm not really a huge fan of how this song is produced. Liam's vocals especially sound awful. Not that he's singing badly, but because of how they're mixed. Liam's voice sounds like he's underwater or shouting into a pillow. This song is also notable for having both Gallagher brothers on lead vocals. Liam does most of the song, while Noel does the whole 2 lines of dialogue for the outro. Why even bother at that point? Get Liam to do it. This song is fine, nothing offensively bad, but nothing that interesting either. Little James is... well, Little James is, it's... This is, without a doubt, the worst Oasis song ever created. It is monotonous, it's badly written, poorly produced, and on top of all of that, it was chosen to be on the album over tracks like Let's All Make Believe or One Way Road. Now look, complaining about this song is basically pointless, as everyone hates this song. In fact, it's basically become a meme in the Oasis community for how terrible it is. What exactly is Little James? Well, it's a song written by Liam about his newborn stepson. That's literally it. The lyrics are about Liam trying to be a good father figure and always trying to be there for his son, even when he's being annoying with his toys and other knickknacks toddlers would throw at your head. The lyrical writing of this song is hilariously pathetic at best, featuring such amazingly crafted lines like, live for your toys even though they make noise, have you ever played with plasticine, even tried a trampoline? Look, for how abysmal this song is, it was a vital part of Liam learning how to write songs, which led to songs like Songbird and I'm Out of Time, and at the very least, you can tell he's writing from a place he felt very passionately about. I still don't want to listen to this ever again. Gas Panic is one of Noel's most personal tracks to date, and it is excellent. This song is about Noel coping with crippling anxiety and paranoia, alongside constant panic attacks, hence the song's title. It could also possibly be about Noel coping with becoming sober as well. While Noel had given up cocaine, he was instead addicted to Valium, which he would use to cope with chronic attacks he had. This song has a very atmospheric feel to it. It feels very massive and big with how it's produced, alongside those blaring guitars. It's also a very long song, being just over 6 minutes long, with a big long solo that goes on for fucking ever. The lyrics of the song are also amazing. They're incredibly vague, but you can still mostly figure out what Noel is trying to say without looking deeper into it, alongside Liam's amazing vocal work. Though, since this song is really tied to Noel as a person, I think it would have been a better idea to let him sing it instead of Liam. I don't know. But regardless, Gas Panic still rules. Where Did It All Go Wrong is not just the title of this song, but was also originally planned to be the title track for this album. What I mean is, the album was originally going to be called Where Did It All Go Wrong. This song is another pretty personal song to Noel, so personal in fact that he actually sings this one. And that happens to be one of the driving factors to this becoming my favourite song from this album. This track details Noel pondering where he's at in life, the lyrics describing Noel's continued isolation from his closest friends. I really love the lyric he says about keeping receipts for the friends that you buy. It's a really creative metaphor. The chorus of the song is also stupendous. Noel's vocals are amazing and the instruments sound great too. This is by far my favourite from this album. I'm sure it will always be that way. I mean, it doesn't have much competition.
Where the strong are just and the weak secure.
Men will still say, this was their fight.
Here's another Sunday morning call. You hear the bang.
Sunday Morning Call is... well, it's certainly a song that exists. This track discusses themes relating to guilt, self-reflection, and your actions in the past catching up with you, alongside trying to become a better person after years of being a dick to people. This track isn't very interesting. Like, at all. It's easily one of the weakest tracks on this album. It sort of just meanders on, it doesn't really go anywhere, and it feels like a waste of time. And I'm not alone in thinking this. Noel himself absolutely despises this song. In fact, he hated Sunday Morning Call so much that it's actually the only song to not be included in the band's 2010 compilation Time Flies. That's hilarious. Honestly, what's even more hilarious is that this song was even a single at all, and tracks like Where Did It All Go Wrong or Gas Panic would be much better singles. The song is bad. It's just bad. It's not good. I Can See a Liar is the definition of an unnecessary track. This track would not have made it on the album for any other reason than it being one of Liam's favourites. If he hadn't liked this song, it would not be here. This song is weird in that not only is it yet another hard rock song, as if we needed more of those, but also that it sounds like total shit, at least in the studio. This song sounds absolutely putrid, mostly with Liam's vocals. They're way too high in the mix, and the vocal effects just make it sound like shit. Sound familiar? This song sucks, there's no way around it. It feels extremely out of place, the lyrics suck, and the mixing is abysmal. But there is one saving grace for this track. It's pretty short, plus it also sounds amazing live. The David Letterman version is my personal favourite, which was also the last time the song was ever played. This song sucks. I'm moving on. And just like that, we've made it to the end of Sod Song. So what track lies in our way to freedom from this? Roll It Over. Roll It Over is a song about Noel letting go of his past and his ego, building a barricade to protect himself from the outside world, as detailed in the first verse. The chorus explains that no matter what it is he might have done to become increasingly distant from people, it didn't make it alright to treat them the way they were treated. It's quite a deep song. This song is by far the longest on this album, being almost 7 minutes in length. Now look, this song is an enormous fan favourite, and I got a shitload of pushback for what I said about it in the past. But also, I don't really think this song is that bad, nor is it anything worthwhile beyond the lyrics. Which, funnily enough, was also how I felt about Gas Panic initially too. I'd never come back to Roll It Over. Go on and say I don't know what I'm talking about all you want, you're just using up precious brain power by doing that. Standing on the Shoulder of Giants represents an interesting chapter in Oasis' career. The drugs were gone, they had a new label, new members, and were basically a different band with the same name and same frontmen as Oasis. Now, is this album as underrated as everyone claims it is? Maybe. Like, this album feels very ambitious in scope, but I don't know about you, but this album just feels like one giant pile of missed potential. What I mean is, there's a lot more that could have been done with this album. Not just with the track list being pretty small, but also the B-side tracks are leagues better than 70% of the songs on show here, alongside 4 of the tracks on this album feeling incredibly out of place. Salt Dog is an alright album, not one I feel much desire to return to much, but whenever I do, I always enjoy myself to some extent. Have a good day, y'all.